Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. So imagine this. What if we could fast forward maybe to 2036?
And look back, right? See how the world really reshaped itself in that period, say 2024 to 2035.
Exactly. That's precisely what we're tackling today. It's this really compelling retrospective view.
Yeah, it gives you such a different lens on now. And the main theme is AI, artificial intelligence. But importantly, the report we're digging into frames it differently.
Also,
Well, not as some sudden bomb that just blew everything up, more like what's the term they use? A cross-cutting force multiplier.
okay, multiplier, meaning it just sped everything up.
Exactly. It's supercharged trends that were already there,
Yep.
great power competition, corporate influence, the way nation states work, or don't work. It just hit the accelerator.
Got it. And our source material for this deep dive is this fascinating fictional history report, Geopolitics 2035, AI's Impact.
It really maps out how AI didn't just tweak things, it fundamentally rewired global power.
So our mission today, to unpack how AI pushed the world into what this report calls a multi-bloc order, and it's defined by geotechnopolitics.
Which basically means tech, especially AI tech, becomes the #1 measure of power. Forget just GDP or armies.
Right. Think of this as your shortcut, your guide to understanding this complex, fast-moving landscape. We're aiming for those real aha moments about where things might be heading.
Let's jump in.
Okay, part one. The report calls it the foundational shifts. And the first one is, it's a bit of a head spinner, the recoding of sovereignty. It talks about this paradox, the AI-enabled state.
Yeah, the traditional nation state went through this really profound kind of contradictory change because of AI.
Oh, so? Contradictory.
Well, AI massively boosted the state's power internally. Think surveillance, control, managing populations.
Like we saw early on with things like China's social credit system, maybe? Using AI to, well, manage behavior.
That's a key example. But it wasn't just authoritarian states. Even democracies jumped on board, pitching it as smarter government.
You mean like South Korea's Seoul Talk? Offering super personalized citizen services? That sounds good, no.
On the surface, yes. But the report suggests something interesting, that often this was actually defensive. States were scrambling to keep up
Keep up with who?
with the private sector. Big tech companies whose AI systems were just way more efficient, way more capable than traditional government services. So stronger inside.
But weaker outside. Is that the paradox?
That's exactly it. While internal control tightened, AI simultaneously chipped away at the state's external authority. Think autonomous weapons, cyber attacks.
Stuff that just ignores borders.
Completely. And the report calls this the democratization of destructive power. Suddenly, it wasn't just states with advanced militaries that had serious clout.
You mean non-state actors? Corporations, maybe mercenaries, terrorists?
All of the above. Groups could potentially wield things like drone swarms, capabilities that used to belong only to, superpowers. What does that do to old ideas of security?
Yeah, throws them out the window. Yeah. And it wasn't just weapons, right? The report also mentions the individual.
The nuclear individual, yeah. AI enabled people to connect, work, even form identities globally, often bypassing national structures entirely.
So if your job, your friends, your whole online life is mediated by global platforms,
Yeah.
where does national loyalty fit in?
Yeah.
Or national economic policy?
It gets complicated. This created what the report graphically calls a sovereignty barbell.
A barbell. Okay, explain.
Picture it. One end is the hard stuff, surveillance, police power, control. That gets incredibly heavy, really powerful thanks to AI.
Okay, the strong end.
But the other end, the soft stuff, providing opportunity, fostering national identity, community, that gets much lighter, much more tenuous.
Because people are looking elsewhere. To global platforms.
Partly, yes. So the state might track you perfectly, but can it ensure you have a good job in this new AI-driven global economy? Maybe not. That's the brittleness. That's the paradox.
And this instability, this
Yeah.
barbell, forced states to choose.
Basically, either pull up the drawbridge, become a kind of techno-authoritarian fortress state, or realize you can't go it alone. You have to pool sovereignty, team up with other nations in bigger blocks to get the scale needed to compete. And that really sets the scene for 2035.
Which leads perfectly into the next shift.
Yeah.
The rise of the corporate states.
Yeah.
Not countries, but huge tech companies acting like them.
Exactly. A handful of tech giants started wielding powers that, historically, only states had.
The report draws a parallel, doesn't it? with
Yeah.
the old East India Company.
It does. Started as just a trading company, right? But
Huh.
eventually it's raising armies, running territories, basically acting like a government. It shows how economic power can morph into political power if it's unchecked.
But how did today's tech giants do it? It wasn't quite like the EIC, presumably. The report mentions Toronto.
Ah, yes. The Sidewalk Labs project in Toronto around 2020, that was a huge learning moment for big tech.
Google's affiliate trying to build a smart city district. What went wrong?
Massive public backlash, concerns about data privacy, who was really in charge, lack of transparency. It just tanked.
So the lesson was,
The key lesson: direct, visible governance, like building and running a city, is a political minefield. People don't like it.
so they needed a subtler approach.
Much subtler and far more effective. The strategy became infrastructural indispensability.
Meaning,
Instead of building new cities, focus on providing the essential AI-driven plumbing for existing cities and governments. Smart grids, logistics, health data platforms, the software government agencies run on.
become the operating system for the government itself.
Precisely. You don't need to own the land. If you control the data flows, the standards, the underlying logic, you create these huge tech ecosystems that are incredibly hard to leave. Lock in.
But how do they sell this? The report mentions governance as a service.
Yeah, that was the genius marketing, really. Companies would go to governments and say, look, our AI platform can handle tax collection or benefits payments way more efficiently than your current systems.
Just tell us the rules, the policy, like an API call, and our platform will execute it. For a fee, of course.
Exactly. It sounds like just a commercial deal, an efficiency upgrade. It avoids all the political heat Sidewalk Labs faced.
But over time,
Over time, as governments outsource more core functions, they risk becoming hollowed out, dependent. The company controls the tech, the data, the standards. They can subtly shape things.
not a hostile takeover, but a slow, efficiency-driven integration.
And that's how you get to de facto corporate sovereignty by 2035, a very different path than the East India Company, but maybe just as profound.
So these shifts, wobbly state sovereignty, powerful corporate actors, meant AI inevitably started reshaping geopolitics itself. A new kind of ideology battle.
Yes, the dawn of digital politics, as the report calls it. AI became the core currency of power. Your influence wasn't just military might or economic size anymore.
It was about your AI capability and your philosophy for governing it.
Absolutely. Your approach to AI, how you build it, regulate it, deploy it, became a key strategic asset, defining who your allies were. And by the early 2030s, three big models were really competing globally.
Okay, let's break them down. Model 1.
The American model, private sector-led acceleration. Pretty classic U.S. approach, right? Light touch regulation, let Silicon Valley run fast and innovate. Power concentrated in those big corporations developing the foundational models.
Government mostly as a customer or promoter. But the potential downside.
Well, maybe a gap between what's good for corporate profit and what's good for national security or society as a whole. Who's really in charge?
Okay, contrast that with Model 2.
The European model, regulatory superpower. The EU went the other way. Cautious, human-centric, rights-based. Think the EU AI Act.
Risk-based rules, banning certain uses like social scoring, demanding transparency.
Exactly. And they used their huge market size, the Brussels effect, to push these standards globally. If you want to sell in Europe, you play by their trustworthy AI rules.
And the third major player.
The Chinese model, state-directed supremacy. Beijing went all in on a military-civil fusion strategy. The state poured money into national champions Huawei, Baidu,
Leveraging massive state datasets, building national infrastructure.
all aimed explicitly at technological and military dominance. Very top-down, very state-controlled.
Were those the only games in town?
Not entirely. You had attempts at a third way, India, for instance, trying to balance innovation with digital sovereignty, building its own tech stack.
And what about middle powers?
Yeah.
UK, Canada, Israel, South Korea.
They focused on developing deep expertise in specific AI niches. They couldn't compete across the board, but they aimed for world-class capabilities in certain areas to stay relevant.
So you have these competing models. Where did the real contest play out?
Critically, the report argues the geopolitical success of these models was decided in the global south.
Africa, Latin America, Southeast Asia.
Exactly. The US, China, the EU, they all understood that winning wasn't just about having the best AI. It was about getting everyone else to use your AI, your standards, your digital infrastructure.
So they competed fiercely to get the models adopted in these rapidly digitizing economies.
Fiercely. Offering investment, aid, partnerships and the choices made by those nations in the global south. That's what ultimately tipped the balance and drew the lines on the 2035 map.
Okay, let's actually look at that map now. Part 2, the cartography of a new world. Case studies of the big blocks in 2035. First up, the Digital Entente. Sounds like a modern twist on an old alliance.
That's a good way to put it. It's basically the evolution of the Western alliance system, reshaped by this geotechnopolitics. It merges two key initiatives, AUKUS and the TTC.
AUKUS, Australia, UK, US. Started with subs, right?
It did, but the report emphasizes that the real lasting impact came from Pillar 2. That's the tech-sharing part, AI, quantum, cyber, autonomous systems.
Joint development, working together on future tech.
Exactly. And things like successful joint trials, say, of AI-driven drone swarms back in 2024, really built trust. A key enabler was the U.S. easing some of its strict export controls, like ITAR, for close allies. That made a big difference.
And AUKUS grew beyond the original 3.
It did. Japan joined Pillar 2, bringing its tech strengths. Then Canada and South Korea came in, creating this powerful Pacific tech ring. That became the hard security core.
Okay, so that's the security angle. What about the TTC, the US-EU Trade and Technology Council?
That provided the economic and regulatory muscle. It became the forum for creating a unified transatlantic tech market. They worked on common standards for semiconductors, data flows, AI safety.
Like the EU's AI office and the US AI Safety Institute working together.
Precisely. They hammered out a joint roadmap for trustworthy AI, aligned on 6G standards, even created a transatlantic green marketplace. It built the common economic and regulatory space.
So you had AUKUS for security tech, TTC for economic rules,
Yeah.
and they merged.
Functionally, yes. By the early 2030s, they were working seamlessly together. This digital entente had military tech, economic scale, and regulatory power. It could set global standards for ethical AI and act as a major counterweight to other models.
Fascinating. Now, a very different kind of bloc, the Nordic Commonwealth. Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, plus Baltic partners. What was their angle?
Their unique strength was leveraging what they already had. High social trust, very digitally advanced societies, and a deep commitment to sustainability.
And they combined the digital and green goals.
Absolutely. Their core idea was mastering the twin green and digital transition, using data and AI specifically to speed up decarbonization.
How did that work in practice?
Think integrated smart grids sharing renewable energy across borders, AI optimizing transport routes to cut emissions, using data to build real circular economies that minimize waste. It was deeply embedded.
And this was built on shared infrastructure.
Yes, a really interconnected digital society. They had cross-border digital IDs, making it easy to live, work, access services anywhere in the region. Bodies like the Nordic Council of Ministers coordinated it all.
So why was this model influential beyond their region? They're not exactly superpowers in population size.
Their influence came from being a compelling model. By 2035, they were seen as a global regulatory and ethical sandbox, a kind of third way.
Showing that you could have advanced tech and social safety nets, privacy, environmental protection.
Exactly. It proved that a tech-driven future didn't have to be dystopian or purely about profit. It offered a blueprint that resonated globally, especially within the wider EU context.
Okay, shifting gears dramatically. The Lithium Triangle Cartel, the LTC, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, sitting on most of the world's lithium.
Yeah, for years they were just a battleground, right? Caught between China, the US, Europe, all wanting that critical resource for batteries, for the green transition.
China got in early, locking up supply and refining.
Very shrewdly, yes. Dominated the downstream. The US and allies tried to counter, offering their own investments, framing it as a more transparent choice.
But the Triangle countries themselves got wary. Smelled like old-school resource exploitation.
Definitely. There's a long history there. So they started moving towards more state control. Chile's national lithium strategy, Bolivia nationalizing, trying to capture more value locally.
But acting alone wasn't enough.
Not quite. They could still be played off against each other. So the big shift came in the early 2030s. They teamed up, formed the Lithium Triangle Cartel, inspired by OPEC.
Beaming for more than just setting prices.
Much more. Their goal was collective power to build their own refining capacity in South America, to break China's grip on the middle part of the value chain.
And did it work? Did they gain leverage?
Immense leverage. They became a true swing power. Suddenly, automakers, tech firms, everyone needed to negotiate with the LTC on their terms.
But the report says their strategy was more clever than just restricting supply. This green ransom or sustainability toll, what was that?
Ah, that was the masterstroke. They used the West's own values against it. Moral jujitsu. They basically said, you guys demand high ESG standards, right? Environmental, social governance. You champion a Green New Deal.
So how can you justify buying lithium mined in ways that harm local communities or the environment?
Exactly. They weaponized that contradiction. The LTC declared it would only sell premium, ethically and sustainably certified lithium processed in South America with revenues directly benefiting local development.
And the higher price was framed as the true cost of a just transition.
Precisely. It put Western governments and companies in a bind. They couldn't easily attack the LTC as just greedy because the cartel was using the language of ESG as both shield and sword.
Wow, that's incredibly savvy political maneuvering, a totally different kind of resource power.
A real game changer, far more politically resilient than OPEC ever was.
Okay, next case, the Oceanic Union. The Pacific Island nations, historically seen mainly as victims of climate change. How did they become influential?
It's a remarkable story of turning vulnerability into strength. They used their collective moral authority on climate, their vital strategic location, and a shared identity forged through the Pacific Islands Forum, PIF.
What was the blueprint?
The 2050 strategy for the Blue Pacific continent. This wasn't just about survival. It was about collective strength, self-determination, and actively managing their huge ocean territories.
And they started flexing diplomatic muscle.
Big time. They started voting as a solid bloc in the UN. And they got very good at trading that collective support for real commitments from big countries, climate finance, disaster aid, green tech transfers. They learned to play the game. And alongside the diplomacy, they focused hard on tech and economic integration, a key part of the 2050 strategy.
Like getting better internet.
Exactly. They negotiated collectively for affordable high-speed connectivity satellite undersea cables closing the digital divide across the islands. They set up a Pacific e-commerce initiative, harmonized regulations to create a single digital market.
And using tech for their specific challenges.
Critically, yes. Embracing AI and satellite data for shared platforms, monitoring climate impacts, predicting disasters, managing fisheries sustainably across the entire Blue Pacific continent, as they called it.
So by 2035, their power wasn't military or economic in the traditional sense.
No, it was more subtle but significant. They became a crucial diplomatic hub. Their islands form this chain across the vital Indo-Pacific indispensable partners for logistics, monitoring, access.
And controlling vast ocean territories, their exclusive economic zones gave them huge leverage in global ocean governance.
Absolutely. Regulating shipping, potential deep-sea mining. They had a decisive voice. They literally turned geography from a weakness into a major strategic asset.
Right. Final case study in this part, the Global Commons Consortia, dealing with spaces beyond national control, Arctic, Antarctic, space, the digital realm. Why were old treaties failing?
Because the geopolitical competition and the speed of tech change just overwhelmed them. Think resource grabs in the Arctic, weaponization of space, cyber conflict. The old rules couldn't keep up.
So new governance models emerged, inspired by science.
That's the fascinating part. They looked at successful international scientific collaborations as a model. Flexible, multi-stakeholder groups focused on shared problems.
Like the Arctic Council's evolution.
Yeah.
It kind of stalled after 2022.
It did formally, but the non-Russian members, US, Canada, and Nordics, didn't just give up. They formed an informal Arctic Security and Environment Consortium, or ACC.
And what made ACC work?
Technology. They pooled resources for shared AI-powered satellite and sensor networks, real-time monitoring of everything shipping, ice melt, military movements. It became the de facto rule setter for the Western Arctic, focused on security and environment via shared data. Pragmatic.
And they looked at older examples too, the Antarctic Treaty.
Yes, that was held up as the gold standard for demilitarized cooperation, keeping a whole continent for peace and science since 1961. People argued those principles should apply to the high seas, maybe even cyberspace.
What about managing complex tech together, like space stations?
The International Space Station Agreement was a key template. It showed how you could balance different countries owning different parts while having unified command. That model got adapted for things like global climate monitoring networks or joint deep space missions. Shared tech, shared responsibility.
And CERN, the physics lab.
CERN's model, blending top-down government support with bottom-up, scientist-led innovation, was seen as perfect for big international AI research projects.
Like AI for Good initiatives.
Exactly. Consortia tackling huge challenges, pandemic prediction, fusion energy, materials science, using that collaborative CERN model to ensure advanced AI benefits were shared, not just hoarded.
Okay, let's pull back and synthesize. Looking at this 2035 map, it's not unipolar, bipolar, or even just multipolar states competing. It's multi-bloc.
Definitely. Power is concentrated in these large, integrated regional blocks we've discussed.
And the old idea of hyperglobalization is gone, replaced by.
Semi-permeable techno-economic spheres. Inside a block, trade, data, people flow pretty freely, deep integration, but between the blocks, much more friction.
Managed trade, export controls, different tech standards, data rules, acting like new borders.
Essentially, yes, they channel cooperation and competition along block lines.
Which means countries outside these main blocks become.
The new contested states, the main arenas for competition between the blocks, Africa, parts of Latin America, Southeast Asia, that's where the struggle for influence really plays out.
Validating that idea that the Global South's choices were decisive. Blocs competing to get their tech, their standards, their governance models adopted there, offering deals in return for alignment.
It's a constant push and pull. So, quick recap of the main blocks and their core logic.
Go for it.
Digital Entente.
Okay.
US, EU, key allies. Logic is techno-security, democratic values. Engine is advanced AI, semiconductors. Governed by shared standards, tech sharing.
Okay.
Nordic Commonwealth, Nordics, Baltics. Logic is green digital synergy, social trust. Engine is green tech, smart grids. Governed by collaboration, shared digital identity.
Got it.
Lithium Triangle Cartel, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. Logic is resource sovereignty, just transition. Engine is lithium processing, governed as a strategic cartel using ESG leverage. Oceanic Union, Pacific Islands. Logic is climate resilience, ocean stewardship. Influence via blue economy, diplomacy, governed as a unified bloc with shared data platforms.
And the other major pole.
The Sinocentric sphere. China and aligned states. Logic is state-directed supremacy, techno-authoritarianism. Engine is AI manufacturing, surveillance tech, governed by military-civil fusion, central control.
A very complex world. So navigating this geotechnopolitical era, what are the key recommendations looking forward from 2035?
The report highlights several critical things. First, embrace techno-statecraft. Diplomacy, national security, they have to understand tech now.
Foreign ministries need experts in AI, data governance, quantum. It's not just treaties and territory anymore.
Not at all. Negotiating tech standards is now core diplomacy. Understanding AI's strategic impact is vital. That's a huge shift for traditional institutions.
Second point.
Invest in sovereign AI, especially for nations outside the biggest blocs. Digital dependency is the new colonialism, basically.
So build your own capabilities.
Yeah.
Talent, data infrastructure. Not to be isolated, but to have agency.
Exactly. To engage with the big players on more equal terms. Avoid being locked into just one ecosystem. Maintain some independence.
Third, this sounds serious, new crisis management protocols.
Absolutely crucial. Autonomous weapons, AI in military systems.
Sure.
The speed is terrifying.
Yeah.
Machine-to-machine interaction can escalate things way faster than humans can react.
Old hotlines are useless.
Pretty much. So rival blocs need new agreements, like during the Cold War, but for autonomous systems. Clear rules of engagement for the machines. The risk of accidental war is just too high otherwise.
Fourth recommendation.
Foster new kinds of public-private partnerships. Governments can't just regulate big tech or these corporate sovereigns from afar anymore. Their capabilities are too vast.
Need to learn how to partner effectively, like maybe how the energy sector does complex projects.
That's one model. Governments need skills to structure these digital age PTKs, leveraging private innovation while making sure public value, public interest is protected. It's a balancing act.
And the final key takeaway.
Prioritize human capital. Treat it as a national security issue. In an AI-driven world, the ultimate advantage is your people.
Skilled, adaptable, able to work with AI systems, critically minded.
Yes. Lifelong learning, tech upskilling, digital literacy, these aren't just nice-to-have social policies. They're fundamental to economic productivity, social stability, and national resilience. They're essential.
It really underscores how profound these changes are.
Indeed. It's about equipping everyone to navigate and hopefully thrive in this rapidly changing world.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into 2035, It's crystal clear AI wasn't just another technology. It was this massive accelerant reshaping everything and leading us into this complex multi-block reality.
And this fictional report is such a powerful thought experiment, reminding us the future isn't predetermined, it's built on the choices being made right now.
Which leaves us and you with a final thought to chew on.
As AI keeps redefining everything, sovereignty, power, daily life, what new forms of influence might emerge next? And maybe more importantly, how can you as an individual find your way, maintain your agency in a world increasingly shaped by these powerful algorithms and vast data sets?